special occasion because today we are on episode 16 of Conversations with Coomer, and I'm here today with one of my greatest friends, Lais, Karvelis. Lais and I have lived together now for more than a year.
Been at you.
Total.
Been at 2 years now.
Yeah.
I think so.
We've known each other for that. We've lived here in Colombia for many months, as well as Bali and even Ohio. So yeah, there's been a lot of adventure and knowledge learned and shared here together. Really eager and grateful for him doing this and grateful for him always. So Lais, we've already talked a little bit about how this normally rolls. It's a proof of concept where, those watching, can relate to me and may be able to. Maybe I'm the one person that it takes for them to follow their dreams and their path. But I recognize that may not be true for everyone. And so one of the points of the conversation with Coomer is to give people other examples that may be similar to them in different ways, that inspire them to take that jump and follow that path and that dream. And, to display all that is possible in this world that we exist in. And so with that, if you just give a personal introduction, where you're from, what you do, and a little bit on your personal history, and then we can get into the business stuff later.
That's an amazing introduction. But my name is Lais. I'm so far away from back in Lithuania, Europe. And my whole journey, how we met 2 years ago, down here in Colombia, Medellin. And what allowed me to be here in Colombia pretty much was 5 years of digital nomading around the world, traveling different European countries, different couple of Asian, one Morocco in Africa. Then I went to Americas. But before that, what allowed me to travel that was finding about internet money, online marketing, Facebook ads, e-commerce, Shopify. I started doing that maybe like 6 years ago. I figured out I want to be independent financially because I was working as a personal trainer at the time. I loved it. I loved the fitness part of it. I love to be active. However, I figured out that
this is why you're in Lithuania, right? Fitness training?
I'm from Lithuania myself.
Right. And you were a fitness trainer in Lithuania, just to clarify. Yeah.
I was just figuring out when I was 16, I was like, if I could get paid to be in a gym, to train people, that's the most fantastic job there is out there. So I figured out how can I get to train people even without any certification. I just found a local gym that he allowed me to be there, to instructor of a gym. Eventually, kind of climbed up myself to be the coach, a trainer, personal trainer of each of the customers of that gym. And one of the things I enjoyed was coach people, being there to support them, fitness aspect of it. However, after maybe a year and a half of working in a gym, I recognized that my earning capabilities are quite limited. If I earn certain amount of cash and to get a bit more, to get 50%, 100% increase in amount of hourly rate that I could do that, it would require for me to get probably a school diploma, get better degrees, do a lot of hell of a marketing to get that. And Lithuanian market wasn't that big as probably you have in US, that you could just climb up with social media. So I was just struck with that understanding that, okay, my earning capabilities are quite set, how fast I can move. I'm in one location of a gym, but if I move across the town, pretty much all my clients will not probably come with me. So I was like, I don't have any financial freedom. I don't have any location freedom. I don't have any time freedom because I go to the gym to train someone at 6 a.m. and I have to be there for someone at 2 p.m., at 6 p.m. So pretty much I do a whole day in a gym. And then I start to figure out how do I get to internet marketing. I figured out about Facebook ads, I figured out about Shopify. I started doing some freelance work for media buying for certain clients. And that's pretty much how my journey started. I landed my first online gig for my first online gig was $60 a month to do social media marketing for one of the companies. They paid me peanuts, but it was first money that I didn't have experience, and they paid me just for the promise to be there. Once I got the first paying client that paid me 1.5K of US, I was like, let me travel, let me make this full time. So I quit my training job. I moved to Amsterdam, Netherlands, paid 1.5K just for rent almost. Started to do like started traveling, started to do a bit more freelance work. I got some social proof, and kind of just that started my journey as a Facebook media buyer, and then that allowed me to travel the whole Europe, and move to Americas, Asia, and finally in Medellin, Colombia, and that's where we met, and that's my journey where it started from there.
Awesome. Thanks for going in depth there. That's incredibly helpful
Yeah.
because, that's so many people see the success of now and they hear about, right? Like, and it's a good thing that people share, like, okay, hey, I started at this and now I'm doing 100 a month or 200 a month or whatever, doing really well. And, that's what we're all looking for. But I feel like a lot of people skip out on that, okay, this is how it was in the beginning. It's important to highlight that, like, you started this way where it was like you started at that peanut level. Like, I remember in college when I was doing, some of the social media marketing, like I would make, relatively nothing compared to now. And that's an important thing that generally, and I think it's a good character trait that it's a bit of impatience that we want to make it go hard too, but also understand that there are steps that are necessary. But so anyways, thanks for sharing that. And then in terms of a bit later, what would you say has been most impactful and most helpful from your travels?
From my travels, I would say most of my impatience came from, like, first I wanted to make money just to travel, to get a little bit few nice stuff. I wasn't that much driven by mastery. I was driven because I grew up in a working class family. Like, I didn't need to worry about food to be on the table, but like getting some nice shoes, like new shoes, you need to wait for your parents to get like a new salary for the next month, and you don't get the new stuff, you don't get what you want. So that was like, how can I get something that I want fast? How can I travel the world? Like all the materialistic stuff. And that was like that impatience of like, I need to get money here now. I need to earn this money. Want to travel here. I want to travel here. And when I start earning that, like when I start to first 1,000 per month and 2,000 and like 10,000 and more, it was like, okay, now I could travel. And I did that. And it took me like a year, 2 years. And then after that, kind of my enjoyment level of traveling and buying new stuff kind of just decreased to the level where a year ago I quit everything. I went myself to I kind of made the decision of like, okay, I don't enjoy that this much, and I feel like deep inside of myself, like somewhere inside of my heart, I feel like I should make a leap, take a risk to quit all my clients and just go for like complete like nothingness. Just I have no plans what I want to do. I know that I probably want to do something with e-commerce, but nothing specific. And I did that jump in the beginning of this year, so almost like 10, 11 months ago. And it's been probably the best decision I have made in my life so far.
And can we zoom in a little bit on that? Because that's, frankly, I don't know if we've had a conversation with anybody who has gone through something similar. Certainly, there are different moments and ups and downs, but you purposely chose to stop already in the online world, stop taking in what essentially was a successful agency and successful payment and more that you already had systems set up for, and you purposely chose to stop that and restart and reinvent yourself. So what really would you say were the biggest contributors to that decision? Mm-hmm. And what would you say to others who are thinking about something similar, whether they're starting new in life or they are indeed just rookies?
There's two school of thoughts, I would say. Like I speak with yourself, I speak with other people, with like mentors of mine, and there's that saying is like, if something is working, don't stop it. Maybe start something on the side, as a side hustle, and then eventually it gets more of your attention if it works, and then you can just could transition towards that, like with less stressful changes and all of it. For myself, I did try to do some of the high side hustles on the side, but always when you know that there's like 10,000 or like more coming to your bank account every month just for you doing like client work, it's not a necessity to start something on the side as like something that you'd be more passionate about. So for me, it was like, I want to start something where I would be the founder, So it's like some e-commerce where I own the whole 100% of the equity of the brand, where previously I was just working like with the clients, with the agencies, more as a contractor, as a paid media guy. Kind of I could scale to 7 figures, 8 figures, but from like paid media side. But I wouldn't do that for myself. I didn't own the equity. So for me, it was like, I want that equity part. I want to own something where decision making is my own. So for me, it was that second school of thoughts, like make a leap, jump, and you'll figure it out on the way down. And that teach me a lot, but I would say that was the best decision. In the first a month, I was like really hard to distinguish myself. It's like I was still working, trying to make ideas.
This, yeah.
First 3 months, after 3 months, I just started feeling like, okay, I'm not media buyer anymore. I'm not this guy who just makes sure the ads are working okay. Now I start to think, what's the next step? Like what I actually want to be. Like not where I think that's smartest to go, but where I feel in my heart, I feel the most passion, the most flow, and that's pretty much where it started leading me from that moment on.
And I know we've had conversations about this, so it's okay if parts of it are undefined, but with almost a year into this endeavor and in this dramatic change of life, what would you say the vision forward from here is for you?
So for me, it was like those 3 months when I took like January to March, when I pretty much quit everything. I was like telling myself, I'll take only 3 months off and then I come back. At 3 months, I just figured out this freedom of taking your life in your own hands, even like not being dependent, even though I wasn't employed, like I was having my own clients, working with them as an agency, but it didn't kind of satisfy you. You still feel like more glorified, more high paid employee, so like serving someone else in agency space. And for those 3 months, I was like, okay, I feel like this e-commerce, that where I was in the past, I still want to be in the same position. And I kind of started moving towards building my own brand on TikTok Shop. And this is where I'm at right now, just in that process of constructing, building, sourcing the products. And alongside with that, it's like when your mind is free of any of projects and you could just go wherever you want, I started looking to communities a lot. And that was like a result. Currently I'm in Medellin, Colombia, and eventually I found myself as a founder of 2 amazing communities called Medellin Run Club, that we have like 150, 200 people every Sunday morning. I have founded as well Sweat and Chill. So that's kind of more wellness, I'm trying to build it as a hottest Medellin wellness event. And those events just born out of the hobby. It's like, I feel like I want to connect with people. I want to serve the community. I want to just be part of social authority, like a social life. And I didn't find anything in the space. At the time in Medellin, I was like, let's create it. And it just born, and now I feel like so established in the city just because of those communities, alongside building my main like brand on TikTok Shop, what I'm doing right now.
And I love that because that's like you're literally acting and practicing a life of alignment.
100%.
Like it's aligned with what you're interested in. I remember having these conversations like, Will, like, these are the things I'm interested in. I want to meet more people about it. And like that's something, a lot of people I think will be like, oh, there's nobody around me. And like, you're like, yeah, maybe you didn't know as many people now, but the best complaint is to work towards a solution. And that's literally exactly what you've done. And actually on that same note, because I know you may not have the perfect answer yet or a perfect solution for yourself, because I know these are things we're all working through. But what would you say are some of the best lessons that you've gone out of having what I understand, right, to be the main opportunity or main focus of building your product and doing a huge release, right? This is not a simple thing of creating an entirely new branded product, as well as building 2 events, community-focused events that also take time. What would you say that has either taught you or are some of the most valuable takeaways there?
I would say the biggest takeaways for me during this year, like building those amazing 2 communities, the brand, I was just too much kind of thinking about other people's opinion in some way. I didn't recognize at the time, but now I was so hesitant to post content on social. I was too hesitant to post content on LinkedIn, let's say, different platforms, create content, because you always think somehow it's like someone knows more than you, and you kind of limit yourself. You have this vision of yourself in your mind, like what I want to become. I want to be this connector of people. I want to create these communities. I want to create this brand. You kind of just always postpone it a little bit because money is good. You can travel. You have all the freedoms, and there's no reason to change. But once you kind of put yourself in a discomfort position, it's like, oh, now I'm living from savings. I don't have, like, I invested everything to the brand. Now I have like 5 months to live, 3 months to live, 2 months to live. You start to think about like, okay, like what other people think on like what content resonates or doesn't resonate doesn't actually matter. Now it's just like how much of shots I could take. It doesn't matter, what other people think. And just kind of making the jump, knowing that now I don't have a like safety net. I just have to figure it out. It kind of opened for me this, how to say, like creation power inside of myself. It's like, okay, now I could create. Now I don't fear criticism that much. Now I'm in a kind of in an arena playing. Now I'm not just spectating. Now I'm playing the game of life. So even though now I'm in a position of like, I have to invest in the business. I have to make sure financials are not that stable as it is right now for this moment of my life. But I'm like, that much joy and that much purpose, I haven't felt probably for the rest of like, maybe just that first year of me starting internet marketing, I felt the same as I'm doing right now. Just like that purpose, that meaning, that joy of building something.
And do you regret any of it?
I'll do it again. I'll do it again, definitely. Even for myself right now, the lesson is like, if I'll get stuck like this in the future, 5 years, 10 years from now, I'll just do it again. I would just like, okay, let's cut it. Let's rip it like for the 6 months, do nothing, just go travel, or even not travel, just stay in one place, have good routine, like work out, speak with people, and then it will figure out. It's like, what is yours in life? It will come. If it's not yours, if you chase it, it will just go further away from you.
Yeah. And so on this similar vein, what would you say, whatever you prefer, to a younger version of Lais, to that younger version of Lais, or to someone who's also, starting out in this world or, pursuing their own path? What would you want to pass on to them?
I would say I could speak really well for myself like a year ago, like 2 years ago, that you probably achieved some success in your current field that you are right now. Let's say you are well-known professional, you do really well, like website developer, you do really well, like marketing or something, and you earn good money. You could travel yourself, or you're a sales guy, but it's not something that you actually see yourself doing like 5-10 years in the future, and that doesn't actually, like, you feel like you have more to give, and just like something else keeping you in the same position is like money, maybe like some social status that you get out of it. One thing that you could do is just save up enough to live without any worries for like a year or 2 years. Save up that savings budget, like that time that you could spend doing nothing. Just go, like quit, allow yourself a year to figure it out. And if I wouldn't be in that position to have enough cash to sustain myself for a year and invest in business and all of it, it'd probably be much harder, because I had this kind of safe backup. It's like, okay, I have 6 months now. It's like I have 5 months now to figure it out. You kind of feeling a little bit more, less pressure on your head, and you could just think, if I would start out without nothing, so that it's like if I was starting out with something, but if you just starting your career and you're trying to figure it out, how do you find someone that do what you already want to do? It could be like big time influencer or something. You could try pitching them, but even try to find the same guy who's like maybe less well known in the space. They could reach, just offer like work for free, like learn, get a mentor to teach you in like 2-3 months. Learn under him. Like I know our friend Jack, right? He's like amazing founder of this TikTok shop product, but he right now like looking for executive assistant, right? So if you would be the guy just coming out of the school, you have a little bit more skills, like let's say marketing, like video editing or something, like just find new founders like this, try to work under them, help them, you'll figure out a lot of stuff, you'll know what I want to do next. And then after that, you just have so much skill set and you could just push and do something on your own as well. Fire.
And then, just because I think you're actually the first e-com guy I've talked to,
Oh, really?
we've had here.
Okay.
So, as I'm sure you obviously know, and anybody watching who's in the online space, right? Probably the shiniest objects, I would say, are e-com, social media marketing,
Yeah.
and trading. But you and I both know lots of people who are incredibly successful and do really well with e-com. What would you say to someone who is either facing that shiny object syndrome or legitimately interested in e-com? Because it's right for some people, but it's not right for everybody.
Yeah. So what do you mean to tell?
Yeah, what would
do
you say
people
to somebody
should
thinking
come
about
to
getting into e-com?
I'm probably the worst person to ask at this point, just because there's more people who come to e-com without any knowledge, and they don't know what to expect, and they're like, oh, I'll just make a bunch of money out of the first 2 months because I've seen so many dropshippers do that, and they just jump with this naivety, like with this naive understanding, and some of them succeed, and then they're like, oh, look at that, this was so easy. I spent 6 years working like different agencies, different internal brands. I was head of growth, head of like paid media director, like different type of stuff, like agencies, inside of brands, freelancer. And I just seen like all bad and good, and now I see how complicated actually it is to, like you could make, you can make like 100K in revenue on e-com, and you will say like, oh, I'm making 100K. Like how much is EBITDA? Like how much is the profit of that? It might be in the best case, 20K, so 20%. But even that, like you're reinvesting in inventory, reinvesting in everything. And eventually you just, like with a few thousand, you just left in the profit. Eventually, if you do like drop shipping, that might be better margins. But if you're actually building a brand, it's not that easy. It's like shining syndrome, but to build actually the e-com brand, like you have to.
It's a hard task no matter what.
It's a hard task, but you have
Maybe
to.
not simple task. It's not
I
exactly
would say
a simple
if you
task.
go in e-commerce, actually want to have a shot, you either have an edge on manufacturing, so either you could get like cheaper prices from somewhere, maybe you have like internal connections or something, or you own the distribution, meaning that maybe you have contacts with retailers that you could just push a product immediately next week when you launch. Maybe you have a big time influencer that you could partner and give equity to, and they will push out. So it's kind of, you need the edge in e-com right now to just succeed. You probably will not build $10 million brand just randomly. Like the percentages of people who succeed actually is like super slim. So it's getting more and more complicated with like year passing. So I would say just find what's your edge in e-commerce. Like if you cannot tell me like what's your edge, that's probably say that your time spent on e-com would be not as fruitful as it could be probably in other areas of life.
Awesome. And then last question to wrap up. We've already talked about, talking to that previous version of yourself a couple of years ago. For the younger version of life, for guys who are maybe just starting off,
Yeah.
maybe they haven't traveled yet, they wanted to, maybe they dropped out of university, didn't go to university, maybe, right? In case you guys didn't get this, Lais is Emilis's brother, who's actually, funny enough, done a conversation with Coomer already. So he beat you to that. You should watch it.
You should watch it. You should just see the guy in the car, right? He was
in
a
car,
right? Podcast in the car, yeah.
But what would you say to those people who are just jumping in the beginning?
Yeah. I remember like how I started. One of the common friends we have, David Stokeris. Mm-hmm. But how this whole journey started, so I started finding myself in digital marketing. I needed people to work with because I was already senior media buyer. I needed someone to teach, so help me with it. I teach like David Stokeris, like different media buyer. He grew up. I started teaching my brother. He teaches a couple of more people, and kind of just started teaching people of the people, and then you just build a team of people that work with you in the different projects, and you want to share your knowledge because you know that if you just coming up out of university do know nothing about it, but if you come to me and it's like, Lais, teach me something, I will work for you for free. Just teach me any skill you need, so I'll be able to like earn myself in the future. So if you come to me, I'll be like, I'll teach you, in probably 2-3 months, maybe less time, how to do maybe like landing pages, or you want to be media buyer, I'll teach you how to run ads. With that skill set, you'll help me, but as well you could start looking for like different freelance clients or get a first job somewhere else in the internet space, like being copywriter, being media buyer, being landing pages developer. You don't need like university certificate. You don't even need to have previous experience. With media buying, you just need to tell like how much I spent, how much I run ads for. Like if I will tell you, I run ads for like 10K a day, up to 50K a day ad spends. It's like, that's social proof itself. I'll show you the case studies, and you don't need to know anything else. It's like, you'll hire me on the spot. Mm-hmm. So it's like, that's what you want to know. So if you're starting out, just find someone who's already doing something that you want and ask them to teach you, like, how can I help you? Like, do you need any position? I'll learn myself with your guidance. In 2-3 months, you'll have a full-time employee, and then 6 months in the future, you'll be already in a great position to move somewhere else.
Yeah. I was just going to say, that is incredible advice right there. 100% exactly what I recommend as well.
I would add just one thing. There's 2 ways I find you could approach the whole, like, how do I start from zero to the hero? And one is like, you start your own brand as an entrepreneur. That's the way probably that I was considering to go, but I didn't have enough courage probably to decide, because I was like too conscious of like, oh, I don't have enough skills. How do I compete with someone who is already in the space? I didn't have capital, I didn't have connections. It's like, how do I move from this point? So for me, it was like, I need to learn how to do the skill itself, myself. So I kind of went through the being freelancer, then going to the agencies, being an employee of agencies, being a contractor for agencies, which if you hear like a lot of internet marketing advice is more like, yeah, if you're just going out of like high school, just start business on yourself. You could do that, you'll fail a lot, you probably learn a lot, but if you go for someone else's business and you work for them, you'll learn so much more and so much faster in the right way how the business should be done. So then when time comes and you have enough capital, or you already feel confident that you could have your shot in the business, you could just go and you know the right strategies, pretty much. You know how to deliver the customer, deliver the service. You probably have already seen the good examples of the business. You've seen how to run operations. I'm super lucky that my first agency that I worked with was out of smart people. Like, my mentor was super smart, and that learning opportunity kind of teach me everything about like P&Ls, finances, operations, hiring. In a year and a half, I learned pretty much everything what right now working in the future with the clients. They were asking me, I was like, Lais, how do I hire this guy? Like, how do you write hiring description? Where do you look for those people? Like, there's those questions that you then later on you pay for people to consult you on. But if you just like, you start from nothing, you learn from someone, you can just have this information free. Brilliant. So I would say that's either start from zero, build something, or you just start from zero, like learning from something with that idea, not to earn money, but just to learn. If you get paid for that, like my first ad spend, I didn't need to pay for that spend. They paid me to learn how to run ads, which is like just amazing.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, and this is, I swear, the real final question is, what would you say one thing unique or just something different that separates yourself from others that has allowed you to succeed?
I would say for this is a good question. But for me, it was like just trying out and just not like after all this curiosity, but overcoming that barrier of like criticism of like myself. I always felt like I'm perfectionist, like, oh, I want that to be perfect. I wanted that to be really good. But then just kind of that curiosity of winning and me jumping through. It's like, okay, now I just could create whatever I want. It doesn't actually matter, like, if anyone will think that, like, if someone will say something that I do this or anything. It was like, okay, now I just cannot fail. Like, if I try, I'm curious about this. I'll try, I'll learn, or I'll succeed. And that's pretty much just my strength point right now. I feel like I just could start any project I want and either succeed or fail, but learn. And that just starts to become like my biggest strength in the past year and a half.
Beautiful, beautiful. And so that wraps this. Would you please tell everyone where they can find you? If you want to give Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever else you prefer.
Of course. So if you just Google in Instagram or LinkedIn, Lais Karvelis, you'll find all information about me.
Spell that for them, especially the Americans.
Probably that's where I will not be able to help. But You'll see on a screen, Jake will put my name
You can't
in.
spell your last name.
I probably could spell it, but it'll take me a long time.
Okay.
That's the only
Okay.
thing. That's the only thing that I probably missed.
It'll be in the link below, and you can search my following on Instagram or more. That'll be highlighted here. That's a funny answer.
Yeah.
But yeah,
All right, man.
thank you, brother.
Appreciate having me.
Thank you all for watching. If you have questions, please feel free to hit us in the comments. Reach out on here on Instagram to me or Instagram to Lais. Especially, if you're looking, I bet you he might be interested in taking on an intern or something like that, possibly for, maybe a brand or whatever. You never know. Closed mouths don't get fed. So remember to ask so we can all eat. Blessings, y'all. Take care.
Take care.